Hello, users, and welcome back to another episodic in style Asian of Halo ampersand Chillaximum. So I haven't done these in a while because I'm a lazy fuck. Every time I do my midnight awakeness excursion, which is what I've been calling my polyphasic wake back to bed sleep non-sleep period, I usually just try to watch like a fucking show and then like just chill for like 45 to an hour. But I'm gonna play some goddamn. So this is Halo. I've already ruined my monetization chances by saying, actually no, goddamn is good actually. I can say goddamn. But can I say goddamn? I don't know. Either way, let's have a quick chat, yeah? So, last time I was talking about polyphasic sleeping and lucid dreaming, and I think the last time I made a video was probably 5 or 6 days ago, maybe longer. Maybe my sense of time is just gone, I don't know, but I just want to say the experiment has been going pretty well, actually. I've been feeling very good about it. I haven't, adhered to the strictest schedule, but it's been pretty good. I've had a few nights of monophasic sleeping as well, but I'm trying to do the polyphasic. It's barely polyphasic if I just wake up for an hour, but it is technically polyphasic, and that is all that matters. So either way, we're playing some Halo 3. So we're playing some Halo 3. This is Big Team Heavies, which basically means there's a lot of guns, and then there's a lot of weapons. Don't mind the gameplay. This is the series where I just relax. I just try to have a good time. I just try to play multiplayer, and I just try to vibe. That's the gist here. That's the goal. That's the idea, and That's the goal. I would like to provide some maybe quick updates as far as the channel goes. I haven't been uploading central plannings because I've been a lazy cunt. There's no other reason than that. That's just it. So, I haven't really been adhering to a particular schedule because I'm a lazy cunt. I've mostly just been kind of winging it very loosely. Yeah. So, there's some info for you. Wonderful. Okay. I'm not doing so hot here. Not great. Believe me, not great. But yeah, this is Halo 3. I guess maybe I'll talk about my childhood a little bit. Because Halo 3 is a big part of my adolescence, at the very least. Throughout most of my childhood, I just played PS1 games on a PlayStation 2. I had no friends. I grew up with a single parent. That's something I've been talking about a lot more on my channel recently over the past month or two than I ever have. And actually, I uploaded a video about how swatting affected my family, and I would appreciate y'all watching that. If you haven't, if you saw it in your inbox and you're like, I can't watch this, that's fine. But still, if that's the type of content that you can watch if you don't have trauma of your own, I would appreciate it if you'd watch that. Just because if you do, you'll get a lot more of an understanding as to my life, how I developed over the last few years, and it'll also give you some more context for this, I suppose. But yeah, basically, we had a PlayStation 2, but I never really played that many PlayStation 2 games. I maybe had like 10 PS2 games ever. I had like maybe 30, 40 PS1 games. So as a kid, I played a lot of PlayStation 1 games. That's why it's my favorite console. But as a teenager, I got an Xbox 360, and I got internet access, and I got Halo 3. I also got Halo 2, but Halo 3 was the new one. So, oh, cool. I'm out of ammo. But yeah, so I basically played Halo 3 and only Halo 3 for probably from age like 14 to like 17, to be honest. I played almost exclusively this game, and that's why I was so excited for the Master Chief Collection, Jesus again, to come out, because I played Halo 1 and 2 a bit, right? I'd never played their multiplayers really at all, but I'd played them a bit. But Halo 3 I sunk my adolescence into, which in a lot of ways were a lot of my formative years in a roundabout way. This is where I first got internet access at around age 13, 14. And I actually first got internet because of Xbox Live. I didn't have a computer at all, at least until like 6 months to a year later. I don't know if my mom got like a raise or something, or, I don't know. But we started to get a few things around 13 years old. And then 14 is when I had like a big surgery that I've mentioned before that caused my health insurance and my mother's health insurance to choose not to pay for that surgery. Even though it was a life-saving surgery, they decided it wasn't life-saving enough, and therefore it wasn't covered. And that ended up as a result a few years later with us losing our house. But that year, it was the first year my mom was relatively, she just kind of really wanted to have me feel good. She was not very kind to me for the most part. My mom was kind of abusive, but she was abusive, I think, in a way because she was raised to be, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is, like, my mom grew up really poor, and so when I was very young, my mom, like, her goal in life was to have a kid and to spoil that kid. And, like, for maybe the first, like, 5 or 6 years, I remember, she would feed me, like I say this a lot, fast food and ice cream every day. I would eat very unhealthily. Maybe not every day, but a lot of days. I would say most days I would be eating relatively unhealthily. And it wasn't great for me as a kid, because I now have a lot of various eating disorders. But, oops, right? But, she tried, and I was a very atypical child, very, very atypical, and she had a hard time accepting that. I had a lot of, I didn't have friends in school. I went to a very small school, so, like, there was, like, I had a class of, like, 15 people maximum that were my class from grades kindergarten to 5th grade. And so I didn't really have any socialization outside of just talking to my mom, and just going to school. So, basically, what that culminated in was me being very sheltered and raised poorly, and not knowing a lot of things. For those of you that maybe have been here for a while, okay? But for those of you that have been here for a while, you may recall there being lots of moments in my streaming career where I would ask stupid questions, where I wouldn't know how to leave the house. Basically, my outlet went from, I first started making YouTube videos at around 15. And it was just like I would make a video about like me playing Minecraft or like recording the TV of me playing Doom or Halo or something. I was one of the first Let's Players, baby. And really my only interaction with people was from the internet. Because I dropped out of school when I was 16 because I had a bunch of physical illnesses. Like I said, I've had chronic illness. And I had a lot of mental problems as a result. And my mom, conditioned by her childhood and her upbringing, basically would abuse me in the way that she would say that my mental problems they were non-existent. I was making them up for attention, that kind of stuff. Which was very damaging to my ability to talk about my mental health all the way up until I was like 21, which is around when I decided to transition. It was the first year of my life that I actually kind of thought, hey, maybe I shouldn't kill myself. I've said this before, but my life plans all the way up until I was like 21 were, I'm just going to ride this out until I die or until it becomes unfeasible. I have no worth. I have no use. I have no meaning. I have nothing. So I'm just going to play video games and chill until I'm homeless and then jump into traffic and kill myself. And that was basically the way I lived life for the first 20 years of my life. That was embarrassing. And that definitely does a number on the way that you socialize. It does a number on the way that you interact with other people. It does a number on a lot of things. But, especially ever since I lost my mother, I've thought a lot more about our time together. Because again, she was a single parent. My father's not dead or anything, but I visited his home once every other weekend, and that was not even all the time. Because my mom raised me to be afraid of my father. And I never really knew how or why that was. That was embarrassing. Holy hell, I'm really bad. In my defense, I just woke up. But, and so I remember when my mom and I had financial struggles, she told me, never to tell my father because my father would try to steal me, and that whenever my mom would abuse me, I would say, I want to go visit my dad, and then she would tell me that my dad would abuse me even worse. She would constantly use my dad as, a scapegoat, kind of well, if you don't like it here, this is the best you got kind of way. And yeah, so as a result, I had no friends at all, basically. I had a few maybe friends in middle and high school, but they weren't real friendships. They were really kind of just I'm at school and I'm just gonna maybe talk about playing Halo with another kid for 30 minutes of math class. That was basically it. Jesus, I'm fucking terrible. I deserve that teabag. But that was basically, for the most part, okay. Interesting. That was basically, for the most part, a lot of details of my upbringing. I felt because I've talked about my mom a little bit more, maybe I should provide more context. Maybe I should give y'all some more. And I have been over the last few weeks and months. I have been trying to talk more about my childhood because you can tell a lot from people judged by where they came from. And, you know, like, the first, like, 10 so years of my life were relatively decent, if only by being sheltered from things that were actually bad. That is unbelievable. By things that were actually bad, you know what I mean? Maybe we didn't live in you know, in extreme wealth, but my mom wanted to kind of project that upon me. But I know when I was a teenager, by the time I was a teenager, you know, this is when we started hitting a lot of financial problems because of my chronic illnesses. And I've said this before, like, there would be weeks where I didn't eat food, like, just because we didn't have food. There would be, like, days where I'd contemplate, is this it? Am I going to have to kill myself soon? And I kind of lived under that kind of mode, I suppose, for a very, very, very long time. And so, in a way, that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm pretty carefree. Is because, like, again, I always was like, okay, well, when shit happens, I'm just gonna fucking end it. Because, like, I didn't have any reason to live. There was no reason for me to be alive. I didn't do anything. You know, I was just fucking alive. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, that's right. Get fucked, cunt. But it, you know, one of my only pastimes and one of the only things I cared about was live streaming and doing YouTube videos. You know, switching in between which one was more important to me at any given time. And so, like, again, it was around the time I was swatted that I decided that I should probably use my YouTube channel for something that's actually good rather than just some stupid bullshit. Like, instead of just using my YouTube channel as, like, I'm just going to play video games on the internet for fun, I was like, I have a platform of very minor attention, but I have a platform of some kind. I should probably try to use it for something. And that's where I decided to start doing more political stuff. But I don't know, man. Halo 3, I just remember, like, when I started playing Halo 3, my life was pretty good, and it was one of my favorite games. I played it every day. So it's like, by the time I stopped playing this game every day, like, my life was in shambles. And I think that's, like, it's a really good transitionary of, you know, my life in a way. And I used to be embarrassed by the fact that, like, I kind of marked certain segments of my life by what video games I was playing, but it was the only kind of interaction with the real world. And again, like, my first interaction with people, like, outside of my small town and my family, was playing Halo online. And I never really used the microphone too much. I never really had that many, like, friends online. But it's like, I at least interacted with people. It's the first time I actually really interacted with other humans. And that's interesting. That's certainly something to like. It's just interesting. Like, again, I'm very, 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 very sheltered. During my childhood and teenage years. Really, I've always been sheltered. I still am. Especially now with COVID. That's why one of the things that I talk about is, like, how during Corona, I've wanted to spend this time to get into shape, to work on me, because sheltering in place, doing all this stupid garbage, this is stuff I've been doing my whole life, motherfucker. Like, this is not a challenge for me. It's hard, don't get me wrong. But, you know, it's not something like, oh, where I'm going to get unbelievably depressed. I decided, you know what? Done being depressed. I haven't really been depressed since April. I had a little bit of like, god damn, maybe everything is a fucking waste of time when Bernie's campaign was a flop. You know, there was a little bit of me, maybe a week or so, where I was just like very, very low energy. And then I was like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna let that define me. Like, so what? Like, maybe, like, so we're not gonna have a functioning government. At this point, like, my political beliefs were like, you know what? I didn't have much faith in it anyway. It was a Hail Mary. But, that's one of the reasons why my content has been the way it is. For those of you that are new here, this is just, like, new information. But I'm trying to, like, a lot of the stuff I never talked about, even being a live streamer that would stream 18 hours a day for fucking 4 years or so, I never talked about this stuff because I felt embarrassed. Something I say often is I didn't know it was okay to be poor. I thought it was something to be ashamed of, even up until I was like 20 to 21. Even like, you know, after I started transitioning, I still was afraid of being poor. Because around when I transitioned, that was like the first year of my life where I actually had money. And so that was like a whole thing where it's like, oh, I actually have money, so I guess I'm not poor. It was just like a phase. And then it's like, okay, I didn't have money again. I just went from having money for a little bit to not having money. Then the money ran out. And I'm right back to where I was, in the impoverished kind of a mode. But, you know, it's just, it's something that a lot of us are. And it's really just shaped my worldview. I don't know, this is a little all over the place, but why not? This game is a disaster. And you know, growing up with a mother that didn't, like, my mom had anxiety, she had depression, she had PTSD, but it was one of those things where she didn't believe in them, or she would, in a way, she would take like the fake it until you make it kind of approach, where it's like, just pretend this doesn't exist, and it won't exist, you know? And, you know, when I guess she realized that her child was growing up to be as fucked up, if not worse, than her, I don't know. I guess she just didn't want to believe that. And so, like, again, I remember telling my mom I wanted to kill myself, and her response was like, then do it already. You know, you won't do it because you're not actually suicidal, and if you won't kill yourself, then there's nothing wrong with you. It was like one of those things where it's like, you know, all or nothing, kind of like, you know, obviously a child, like a mother telling like a 15-year-old was one of the first times I thought of killing myself. Obviously a mother telling a 15-year-old to kill themselves is not the most motherly approach. But like, it's not like she would not provide any resources. She would not, even though I know now that she had a lot of the same issues that we had, or that I, like, you know, we as in when she raised me, when she was growing up, she went through a lot of the same things. But again, she just didn't want to believe in those things. She thought that they were, you know, if she just kept telling her kid that they weren't true, then obviously they're not true. And I don't know if that's how her parents raised her. I would imagine so, knowing that her parents were, I did not like her mother. I never knew my grandfather on her side. Because he had died when she was a kid, which I haven't really thought about too much. Because her mom remarried, and so I always had like kind of an interim grandfather, but they weren't really my grandfather, so I don't know. But yeah, she lost a parent young. So did I, which is interesting to think about. God damn it. I probably could have done that better if I just used the hammer. But, yeah, I don't know. I guess the one lesson that she learned was, don't show your feelings. And if someone shows their feelings, you got to repress those feelings as much as possible. Because what are you going to do? Treat them? Obviously not, right? And that's the thing, is like, it's such a toxic culture that we live in the United States of America. Such a toxic culture where my mom grew up without health insurance. And as a result, even though I had health insurance, my mom would never take me to mental doctors to get my, like, potential depression in check. She would just pretend it wasn't real. It wasn't until I had physical chronic illnesses that my mom even brought me to doctors. And she took that really seriously, because that was one of those things that you can't really hide. It's not like you can pretend a mental illness doesn't exist by sheer willpower, but it's really hard to pretend that a physical illness doesn't exist. Hey, that actually worked out. And so I remember going to doctors all the time and just wondering, like, what if I just asked the doctor about being depressed? And I asked my mom about it once, for her permission beforehand. I should have just used the hammer. And, she basically said, you can't ever say that. One, because it's not true. I was obviously not depressed. Duh, right? Why would I be depressed? And then two, because then they would take me away from her. And that was her biggest fear, I guess. Was just why she never wanted me to tell my dad about anything. She just didn't, she just wanted to fix me and then, be the hero. Well, that kind of worked, I suppose. But yeah, this is the environment that I grew up in. So if that explains any of this behavior, any of this going on, then there you go. That explains a lot, I think. But I don't know. I don't really know if I have anything else to talk about, but just a little few details of my upbringing. Maybe I'll talk more about this, as I don't think about it much. In a way, I've repressed a lot of my childhood. I just don't think about it. I like to pretend that I just kind of started existing recently. I like to pretend that, my transition is, the real first year of my life in a lot of ways. Because, there was no way I really understood. Now I know that, when I was 6, I was trans. I know that now. But it was something I never talked about with my mom, obviously. And it just turned into depression and repression. But it's I don't know. Ever since I started transitioning, it's I've been dealing with a lot of the problems that have been plaguing me for my entire life. And it's been hard. I've dealt with all this by myself for the most part. I have a lot of people in my life that are really important to me at the moment as well, that help me go through things. And those have been, in a lot of ways, have saved my life as well. But I never went to a doctor. I've gone to a therapist one time. It was an online therapist. And they were very, 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 very bad. Excruciatingly unqualified to treat all of this. Right? But what are you gonna do? Can't do much, right? And so I've had to overcome a lot of these problems by myself for the most part. And what little things that I haven't been able to overcome by myself have been supplemented by important people in my life. I hate getting in the turret on accident. It makes me just feel like an idiot. I hope no one watches. But obviously I did this on a video. If my teammates found me, I would feel embarrassed, but I don't really feel as embarrassed to do it on video. That's going to kill me. Okay, I actually got away with that. Sick. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. my childhood was, in a lot of ways, very unconventional. I didn't experience extreme poverty, I guess, in the way a lot of people do. But I experienced a lot of things that were attributable to poverty. Like, again, when I was like 16, that was where it was the worst. I would go weeks without eating. Not weeks in a row, but like I'd maybe have like 2 meals a week for a couple months, and that was, again, so scary. The idea is like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to eat again. And then, of course, my mom would ask people in her family for money, and that's how we'd be able to eat. And as soon as we had money, the first thing she would do is buy ice cream, buy fast food, order pizza. Like, just waste the money on unhealthy, just pure trash, you know? And that's one of the things that's like, I don't know, it's like the addiction of food is just like so nefarious and so heinous in a lot of ways. It's just wild to me that this is a thing. I don't know, like the idea that my mom would be so addicted to sugar and fast food and all that kind of stuff that when we had $100 and that was supposed to last us a month, instead of spending that on proper groceries, instead we would just spend it on ice cream, get 3 fucking pizzas, and then, I don't know, starve for another 2 weeks. And I remember when my mom was asking my family for help and stuff, she would tell me, like, you know, I'm doing this for you. You know, I know you like ice cream. I know you like it, so I'm just trying to make you feel good. And it's like, you know, at the time, it was okay. But at that time, you know, I was like, I don't know, I'd rather probably eat consistently. But I don't know, I couldn't disappoint my mother in a lot of ways. Because if I disappointed her, then, I don't know. I was just trained. She just raised me to view her as like kind of like a supreme authority of some sort. Yo, that fucking little fucking rat. Thank you for actually dying. But I don't know, I haven't really met that many people that have been in situations similar to mine. I know that people that live with a lot of single mothers, you know, especially abusive ones. I know a lot of people that have been through that, but really? At least I got one more kill. Killed their buddy. I know that, you know, it's a common theme, I guess, and single parents saying like, oh, single parents with only children, that as well. Where it's like, oh, I'm the only person in this person's life, so I can just literally say whatever I want and shape their worldview into whatever I want. You know what I mean? And that's basically kind of how my mom raised me. And she didn't do a great job of it, because here I am, making videos saying that, yeah, it's okay to be poor, and yes, mental health is super important, so she didn't do a great job. If her goal was to make me believe that mental health was not a thing that existed, oops, you done goofed. Connection lost. Interesting, because I'm playing the game right now. She definitely done goofed. But hey, what are you gonna do? I probably shouldn't have done that with a teammate there, but hey, what are you gonna do? But yeah, I don't know. This game's about over, so this video's about over. Anyway, if there's any details you'd want more explanation on, if you want me to go into more detail or want more information, feel free to ask. I'll try to make a video about it if I can. But I don't know. Very bizarre stuff I went through as a kid. Very atypical, but in a way, like, kind of the overarching themes are very typical. So, I'm gonna fucking not be able to use this tank at all, which is a shame. Anyway, again, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. And if you ever grew up in a similar situation to me, or like if you are still growing up, because I don't know how many young people are watching me, the main thing I want you to know is, again, it is okay to be in a bad spot. It is okay to, even if you can't say it out loud, to have mental health problems. It is okay. That's not abnormal. It's not bad. It's not inherently terrible. And even if you can't get help now, that is something that you should strive to do. And maybe I'll get more assistance with my stuff at some point. Who knows? Really, the only way I can see that happening is if I ever get rich and famous enough to afford it. Which, let's be honest, that's not happening. So, oops, right? But either way, thank you, and I will see you later.